Hi everybody. In this video, you're going to be learning about the different ways of helping kids learn about the number 0. That way, when you make a video just like this one, you'll be able to understand what kind of techniques you're going to want to use and some that you're going to want to avoid. You see, unlike most numbers, 0, you cannot count to 0. Counting always starts with 1, and 1 is greater than 0. And so, you have to use some special techniques to help children to learn how many is 0. And so, this video is going to present to you 2 wrong methods followed by 3 correct methods of how you can teach children about the number 0. And now, on with the first wrong method. There are zero of anything. Now what you just saw was an empty surface with absolutely nothing on it. That doesn't show children how many is 0. It just shows them nothing. In order to help them to learn how many is 0, you always want to start off with a certain number of items and then remove them in such a way that children are able to see how many is 0. This leads me to the second wrong method, which you're about to see right now. Whee! 0 spinners. Whee! 0 spinners. Whee! 0 spinners. Now what you just saw was this fidget toy right here. This one spinner. Then, with a wave of my hand, I replaced it with this big black 0 and told you that there were 0 spinners. But clearly, you saw that there was actually 1 spinner, and 1 is not equal to 0. And you know it, and I know it. And you know I know it, and I know you know I know it. About 20 years ago, I saw a similar mistake made on Sesame Street, where usually they showed a video segment where in front of a colored background, let's say light blue, they showed some computer animated still shots of little dancers. And they were usually twirling like this. And it was usually like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 dancers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 dancers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 dancers. Well, in this case, they did a video segment where in front of a red-orange background, they showed a still photograph of somebody standing, and they twirled it like this. tracing a circle in the process, and then they crossfaded it into a 0 and said 0 dancers. And they did it 3 times. Well, if you think about it, a still photograph of somebody being revolved like this could very easily depict a break dancer dancing on their fannies. You see, when it comes to break dancing, they don't just use their feet. They use their bellies, their chests, their backs, their shoulders, and yes, their fannies. And they twirl on all these parts of their bodies. I even saw one on television during a live performance twirling on his head. That's right, on his head. And so you cannot just show a still photo of somebody standing being revolved like this and not think that it looked like a break dancer twirling on their fanny. And so even though they said 0 dancers, there was obviously 1 dancer, and 1 is not equal to 0. So now you're about to see the first of 3 correct methods of how to help children learn how many is 0. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 0 marbles. Now what you just saw was the countdown method. And in the countdown method, I started off with 5 marbles because any number up to 5, as you can see, is easily recognizable without having to count. So I started off with 5 marbles, and one by one, I removed the marbles so that by the time there was a blank surface, children would be able to see that there were 0 marbles. And as I was removing those marbles, I counted down from 5 to 0. That way children will be able to understand that I was now showing them 0 marbles. Now, a similar technique was shown in one of the TV series episodes of Cyber Chase, where those 3 kids and the bird Digit were trying to find the evil hacker inside of a tall skyscraper. And they thought that the ground level was floor 1. But when they realized that they were 1 floor off, then it began to occur to them that the ground level was actually floor 0. And to make sure that the other 2 kids, the cyberbird, Digit, and the people who were watching this TV program understood about the number 0, Matt held up these 2 apples and asked how many he was holding. And when one of those characters correctly answered 2, he intentionally lost one of them and asked how many he was holding this time. And when one of the characters correctly answered 1, he intentionally lost the other apple and asked how many he was holding. And when they saw that he was holding 0 apples, they understood. But the real purpose is to help the people watching the TV program to understand how many is 0. So the countdown method is one method that you can use. And here is the second method. Ah, marbles. Let's see how many there are. I've got 1, 0. 0 marbles. Now what you just saw was the lose all method. And here I started off with so many marbles that this time you have to count them to see how many there are. But in my haste to try and count those marbles, I accidentally brushed up against them, causing them to roll away. And so I had to announce that there were 0 marbles. Now a similar technique can be used where right over your shoulder is a blank white poster in front of which hang a whole bunch of, let's say, black stars. And they're being hung by strings, the other end of which is being held by somebody off camera. And you are about to count how many stars there are when, as soon as you start going like this, the person off camera intentionally lets go of those strings and the stars just fall right down to the ground, leaving behind the blank white poster. And so now you have to announce that it has 0 stars. So now you know 2 correct methods, the countdown method and the lose all method. And here's the third method. An egg carton. Let's see how many eggs there are. Zero eggs. Now what you just saw was this egg carton. And I was about to show the kids how many eggs there were in this carton. But when I opened it up, it was absolutely empty. And so I had to announce that there were 0 eggs in that egg carton. Now you can use any container as long as it's an obvious looking container. You can use an egg carton, you can use a cookie jar, you can even use a box marked toys. This helps children to anticipate that they're about to see what's inside of them. Like eggs, for instance. And then, when you open it up and it's absolutely empty, they're able to see that there are 0 of them. So now, you know those 3 correct methods and those 2 wrong methods. And so, I would advise you to review this video whenever you're about to make one just like it, to try and help children to learn about the number 0. And I thank you. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you.